Pranams to Swamiji. Pranams.
Namaste.
Namaste. I'll give a brief introduction as Swamiji for a minute.
Yes.
Swami Sarvapriyananda needs no introduction to Bhagavan's devotees or to the spiritual seekers. Swamiji is widely acclaimed as the exponent of non-duality or Advaitic teachings. Personally, I was fortunate to listen in person his talks at the Vedanta Society, New York. It is always a treat to listen to him. Although we know Swamiji for a long time, I'd like to give a brief description. Swami Sarvapriyananda grew up in Bhubaneswar in the Indian state of Orissa. From childhood onwards, he was inclined towards spirituality and was inspired by the lives of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. His family was also devotedly religious. His parents and grandparents were initiated devotees in the Ramakrishna order tradition. He has stated that his first goal in life was to become a pilot, and in the second was to find God. Thank God he went to find God only. With the second goal later becoming his only goal, Swami Sarvapriyananda joined the Ramakrishna order in 1994 and took his monastic vows in 2004. His family at first objected to his decision to become a monk, but later accepted his decision. After passing school, he completed his business management degree from Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar, Orissa. After completing his college studies, Swami Sarvapriyananda immediately joined the Ramakrishna order to become a monk in 2004. He took oaths of sannyasa from Swami Ranganathananji. His guru was Swami Bhuteshananji. He took his Diksha, the initiation, from Bhuteshananda before he became a monk in his student life itself. Swamiji has written books. Some of them are available in Kindle and PDF formats also. Who am I? What is Vedanta? The Atman dissolved into infinity. In this book, Swamiji has taken just 4 verses from Ashtavakra Gita. The gist of that book is dissolve all that is not real, falls away, dissolves, disintegrates. What is real? Contemplate infinity, dissolve into the truth of your immortal, infinite self. Please, Swamiji, you can go ahead. Pranams to you.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste, everybody. Namaskars to the organizers of the Jayanthi from the ashram here in New York. It is always a privilege, an honor, and a pleasure to be in the company of the devotees and the spiritual seekers who are walking on the path shown by Sri Ramana, who are inspired by Sri Bhagavan. Why is it especially a pleasure is because Sri Ramana's teachings constitute the highest, the purest, and the final teachings. Final teachings of what? Any kind of spiritual teaching possible. This is the highest, the final, and the most purest form of it. It is always a joy to dwell in truth, in its most clear, in its most concise and precise formulation. what I mean by this, an example from a Buddhist teaching I took, I will share it with you. All of these spiritual teachings are like instructions, but they are at different levels. So it is like, suppose on Arunachala, there is a needle and we have to find a needle. Now, to find a needle on a mountainside seems to be an impossible task. But if we are given proper instructions, it is possible. So the first set of instructions will be, go up on the mountain, on this side of the mountain, in this particular area, please walk up there. So with a lot of hard work, we go up to that area. Having reached that area, the next set of instructions we will get will be, go near that particular tree. There is a big rock, there is a tree, go near that. When we go near that. Now, once we reach the tree, then the next set of instructions will be, look in this particular direction near at the root of the tree. In this little area, you will see the needle. So this final instruction is pointing out the needle actually. And as we go and follow the instruction, then suddenly we see the needle with our own eyes. Now, this final set of instructions is the most precise instructions, finally pointing out the needle itself, is Sri Ramana's teachings, is the highest teachings of Advaita Vedanta, the final teachings. Before that, there is a whole range of spiritual practices. There is ritualism, there is karma yoga, there is upasana, a variety, a whole spectrum of spiritual practices are there. They are like being pointed to the mountain and climbing up the mountainside and reaching near the rock and the tree. But finally, the needle is pointed out. The final instructions about our real nature, about that which is to be attained in spiritual life or realized in spiritual life, that instruction is given in the words of Sri Ramana, in the words of the Upanishads. Beyond that, it is with our own eyes that we have to see the needle finally. So it is in our own awareness that we have to realize, it's in Sri Ramakrishna's words, bodhe bodhkara, awareness of awareness, becoming aware of awareness, the unlimited nature of our own awareness that we become aware of. So that is something that has to happen within us. We have to realize it for ourselves. We have to finally see the needle with our own eyes. But the last set of instructions is the teaching about our real nature, the core idea, the core approach of self-inquiry. So self-inquiry is at the peak of the mountain, above teachings of karma, above the teachings of devotion, above the teachings of meditation also, is ultimately self-inquiry, which leads to a direct perception, not of the needle, of a direct realization of our nature as the Atman. Now, there are texts which were dear to Sri Ramana, like Ribhu Gita, Ashtavakra, which was just now mentioned. So these texts and Sri Ramana's teachings are at the same level. They are the same teaching, in fact. If you look at the teachings in the Ashtavakra Gita, you find a remarkable similarity in the tone, in the height, the sublime level of those teachings. You find a similarity with Bhagavan Ramana's teachings. One thing you notice there is, in Sri Ramana's teachings and in Ashtavakra, there is no attempt at reasoning or argumentation. All those things have been done, finished, conclusions have been drawn. Now, this is higher. After all the arguments, after all the logical reasoning, after clarity has been attained, we finally come to the teachings of Ashtavakra, the teachings of Sri Ramana. Another thing you notice is, it is in simple language. Even Ashtavakra also, it's in Sanskrit, but simple language, simple Sanskrit. It's not difficult to understand. Another aspect of both Ashtavakra and Sri Ramana's teachings is, it is samarasa. Samarasa means it is uniform throughout. Ashtavakra, you pick up the book and take up a verse here or there, you will find the same teaching. Throughout the book, the teaching is that you are Brahman. Similarly, you take up the talks of Bhagavan Ramana, you will find day after day the teaching is exactly the same thing. The highest final teaching is given again and again and again. With one philosopher called it a grand monotony. The highest teaching without any pause, without any ceasing. So no attempt at argumentation. It is just the siddhanta, the final conclusion, which is being given to us. There is no attempt at multiplying words and concepts. There is also, it's a teaching is just one teaching throughout. I just want to dwell on that teaching. I have selected a verse from the Ashtavakra, almost the very first teaching given by Ashtavakra to his student Janaka. When Janaka asks, what is knowledge? Please give me. How will I become enlightened? How will I become free? So please teach me. And then Ashtavakra teaches him the fourth verse of the text of the Ashtavakra Gita, the Ashtavakra Sangita. We will take that up and dwell on that for a while. The verse goes like this. Yadi deham prithak kritya chiti vishramya tishtasi adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. Grand declaration. If one can see oneself as different from the body and rest in awareness, rest in consciousness. Right now, right here, adhunaiva, you will be sukhi, deeply, lastingly happy, satisfied, blissful, shanto, peaceful, beyond all sorrow, beyond all suffering. And bandha mukta, you will be free of bondage. The bondage of birth and death, the bondage of karma, the bondage of being embodied, all of that bondage, you will be free of it. When? Adhunaiva, now itself, here itself. So what a grand declaration. If you can see this, see what? Yourself as separate from the body, resting in awareness. Chiti vishramya tishtasi. So let's look at this a little more carefully. I think this is this final teaching, the direct pointing out of the needle, and in this case, what is being pointed out is not a needle on the side of Arunachala hill, on the mountain side, but it is something which is close to us, closest to us. It is we ourselves, our real nature. Sri Ramakrishna used to give the example of the washerman. The traditional washerman in India has, he takes your clothes to the river side and then cleans them, scrubs them with a rock, and then returns them to you. So this washerman had found a peculiar rock. It was a big diamond, but he did not know it was a diamond. He thought it was a strange, shiny rock, and he used that rock to scrub dirty clothes, to clean dirty laundry. He did not know the value of that. Now he asked his friend, who was a vegetable seller, what do you think about this rock? Do you think it is special? And the vegetable seller said, it looks special. I can give you a bag of brinjals for it, or I can give you 10 rupees for it, something like that. Luckily, the washerman did not sell the diamond. He took it to somebody else who was a little more knowledgeable, and then took it to somebody else who was even more knowledgeable. Finally, took it to the diamond merchant, who said, my God, this is the most magnificent diamond that I've ever seen in my whole life. I will give you 1,000,000 rupees for it. And so all the needs, the poverty of that washerman were removed forever because of that diamond. Now note that he always had that diamond. He just did not know what it was. The diamond had the capacity of removing all his wants, of taking him beyond poverty, fulfilling all his desires. Everything was there in that diamond which he had. Not only he had it, he did not know what it was, but he was using it daily. Similarly, we have this diamond in our lives, each of us, that which can take us beyond sorrow, which can make us permanently blissful, unceasing source of joy and peace and strength, and take us beyond all kinds of suffering. But we don't know the diamond. We don't recognize what it is. Just like the washerman was using the diamond to scrub the dirty laundry, we are using this diamond in our day-to-day lives. What is this diamond I'm talking about? What is it that we don't recognize, and how are we using it? It is our consciousness, it is awareness itself. And daily we have it. We all acknowledge we are aware, but daily we are using it. We are using it for seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. We are using it right now. I'm using it here for thinking and talking. You are using it for listening and understanding. This very awareness which we use for desiring, for hating, for becoming unhappy. All of this is possible because of one thing only. The awareness which we are, we never turn to take a look at that. The awareness is continuously flowing outwards through our mind and senses, because we're externalized. The reason that why we do not realize what it is that we have, what this awareness is, our real nature is, Upanishad says, Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhu tasmat param pashyati nantaratman. Our senses are turned outwards. That's how they have been designed by the Lord. Eyes to see forms, ears to hear sounds, nose to smell, tongue to taste, the skin to touch. All of these are turned outwards, and they give experiences of outwards, the form, sound, smell, taste, and touch. None of them can reveal the Atman. They are not meant to do so also. But because of that, I, the Atman, this awareness, I'm continuously engaged in this outwardness, this outward flowing, and thinking and always contemplating on objects, external or internal. What we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, eat, interact with external. In our minds, what we think and we remember and we desire and we feel, all of that is internal. But they're all objects, and they all engage us, the awareness, in a kind of self-forgetful kind of daydreaming, half asleep, half awake. This is what we call our lives. And it's a profoundly dissatisfactory state of things, which the Bhagavan Buddha realized, that dukkham, the unsatisfactory nature of life. Now, ultimately, what Advaita Vedanta does, Ashtavakra does, and Bhagavan Ramana does, is to point out that you have this diamond. You recognize what it is, and then you will be free immediately. How do we do that? How do I realize what I have, and how do I realize its true nature? How do I become free? Ashtavakra says, Yadi deham prithakritya. He starts with the word Yadi. Important. Yadi in Sanskrit means if. And this if is an important word. For a large number, majority of humanity, I would say, they stop at this if. They give the wrong answer to this if. If you are willing to inquire, if you really want this, most people at this point, they don't want it. There are people who are so driven by desire, so driven by external engagement. They have no time, no interest at all in this, in spiritual inquiry. There are those who they understand that such a thing is possible, but they feel somehow they're deluded in feeling that it is not for us. Maybe it is only for Bhagavan Ramana or Vivekananda or Ramakrishna, but not for ordinary people like us. Again, that becomes a great block, a hindrance. There are those who are religious, large numbers of people who consider themselves devout people, religious people, but they are not seekers after enlightenment. You see, this is the difference between what you might call spirituality and religion, or the higher religion and the lower religion, both ways. The difference is this: do I want God for my life, or my life for God? What is the goal of my life? If my goal of my life is this world itself, I want to be a little happier here, my health should be good, my job should be nice, people should behave nicely with me, things should go well with me and my family, and there's nothing wrong in desiring these things. And if this is the only goal that there is, and then I bring in God and temple and rituals to help me to do these things, then this is called God for my life. God is a convenience for my life. There are many things which are useful for my life. A washing machine is useful for my life, car is useful for my life, computer is useful for my life. So God is also useful for my life. Religion is useful for my life. It gives me a better life. Nothing wrong in it, but this is not spirituality. This is not self-inquiry. This is not the search for moksha. This is not the question which Janaka asked Ashtavakra. There is the other kind, my life for God. Not God for my life for God. What is the goal of my life? Not to earn money. That may be there, but that is not the goal of my life. The family and husband, wife, children, that also is not the goal of my life. What do I mean by goal of my life is, I know all these things, if they are there or not there, they are not going to provide me with lasting peace and satisfaction. They are not going to take me beyond sorrow. I know only one thing is the goal of life, that is, call it God realization, self-realization, Atma-jnana, Brahma-jnana, whatever you call it, that is the goal of life. If I realize that, then that becomes my central pursuit in life. Notice, I'm not saying that everything else has to be thrown away. You don't have to become a monk and go and sit in top of a mountain. A lady asked Sri Ramana, that do you have to become a monk in order to become a sannyasini to become enlightened? He replied, no, mother. Then the lady immediately asked, then why are you sitting here in a cave? I mean, in the Ramana ashram there in Arunachala, you're wearing a kaupina and still living this extremely austere monastic life. So he replied, see, mother, that is karma. Your karma is that you are a housewife. You're working in the kitchen there, in the house there. You're doing your daily duties. I am sitting here in this way. This is my karma. But both of us can become enlightened. The goal is to become enlightened. The goal is to get this knowledge and become free of suffering and attain our true nature. So that is the goal. If that is the goal, then we are a seeker. Then we have answered yes. When Ashtavakra says, yadi, if you want this. Yes, we say yes, we want it. And those who are gathered here, who are sitting here together and virtually, and also those who are watching, because you are watching, you come to a talk, a program organized for Ramana Jayanthi, and Sri Ramana offers one thing and one thing only, that is enlightenment, the highest thing. Therefore, we are all seekers. But let us be careful about it, be clear about it. We are seekers after enlightenment. We are seekers of moksha, mumukshu, mukti, God realization, Brahma Jnana. That is what we are seeking. Then what is the method? Yadi deham prithakritya chiti vishramyatishtasi. If you see the body separately, literally Ashtavakra says separating the body. Now you cannot physically separate the body. It is not that we will take a pair of forceps and pull the Atma out of the body. You cannot do that. So the separation of the self and the body, this separation is a separation in knowledge, in realization. We have to see this. And the way to see this is to appreciate the nature of awareness itself. What is awareness and what is the body? If this clarity comes in the mind, then this is the separation. This is that final instruction pointing out the needle on the side of the mountain. This is that diamond merchant telling the washerman, what is this stone? That it is a diamond. This we have to see. How do we see this? Ashtavakra himself has given the key. Yadi deham prithakritya. If you separate the body and rest in awareness, how will you do that? Just before this verse, the verse I just chanted is the 4th verse of Ashtavakra. Just before this verse, he has given the key. In the 3rd verse of the Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra gives Janaka the key. The key, he says in that verse, na prithvi, na jalam, na agni, na vayu, dyaur, na va bhavan, esham sakshinam atmanam chidrupam vidhi muktaye. Says, sir, you are not earth or water or fire or air or space. You are the witness of all of this. You are of the nature of pure consciousness. Realize this for the sake of mukti. This is the third verse. Having said this, now he goes into the fourth verse and says, if you can separate yourself from the body and rest in awareness. So, this is the key. What is the key? Whatever you are aware of, that you are not. Whatever we are aware of, we are not that. Whatever we are aware of, that's an object. An object to what? To consciousness, to awareness. I am consciousness, and to consciousness appears these objects. You see, life is a series of experiences. That is the simplest definition of life. Whatever you are, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we have a series of experiences, whether you're spiritual or not, a worldly experience, spiritual experience, it's just a series of experiences. Now, what is an experience? An experience is consciousness plus an object. Awareness or consciousness, I'm using it interchangeably. Awareness, consciousness, chaitanyam, chit, samvit, they are all the same. Bodha. Awareness plus an object. When awareness illumines an object, we have an experience. Chit plus there's a visha, chit plus there's a jada, vishaya, you get anubhava, experience. Whatever experience that is. Notice the objects keep changing, the experiences keep changing. The experience of hearing is not the same as experience of seeing, is not the same as experience of tasting. Experience of pain is not the same as experience of pleasure. So experiences are of various kinds. Experiences keep coming and going. They're beginning and end. Some of them are good, some of them are valuable, some of them are indifferent, some of them are painful. So variety of experiences and all are changing. Now, the objects which give rise to these experiences, they are also of many types. You see different colors, you taste different kinds of foods, you have various kinds of thoughts. These are the different objects. These objects give rise to different experiences caused by different objects. The experiences come and go because the objects are arising and disappearing. But the consciousness or the awareness to whom these objects arise and disappear, in whom these objects arise and disappear, is that consciousness changing? We will see little bit of inquiry, little bit of looking into our experience shows that consciousness does not change. Awareness does not change. This consciousness, awareness, chit, chaitanya, samvit, bodha, this does not change. What changes are the objects. What changes are the experiences born of these objects, this object consciousness contact. Now, think about all our sense experiences. All these material objects, they come and go, forms, sounds, taste, smell, but consciousness remains the same. The same consciousness, same awareness, which is seeing something, same awareness, which is hearing something, same awareness, which is tasting something, smelling, of course, with the help of the mind and the sense organs. Same awareness. Awareness does not change. Look at our internal states, thoughts, various thoughts, thousands of thoughts are coming and going throughout the day, all to the same awareness. Awareness does not change. Consciousness does not change. Our emotions, no matter what I feel, I may feel happy to the same consciousness. In the same consciousness, happiness is recognized and experienced. I may feel sad, same consciousness, happiness is experienced and recognized. Sadness is experienced and recognized. I may feel pain, I may feel pleasure, I may feel aesthetic enjoyment of art and music, same consciousness. And I may have all the experiences of our waking state, which I call my waking life, same consciousness. Then that disappears in sleep and the dream experiences, same consciousness. And then everything disappears into the blankness of deep sleep, same consciousness. This is something that we just have to contemplate and notice. It's not that you have to make consciousness changeless. We have to recognize the changelessness of consciousness. that all the changes that we experience are objective. They are in our thoughts, in our emotions, in our memories. Whatever you recall, the same consciousness recalls. If you fail to recall also, suppose there is, I don't remember, I think I'm trying to recall something, but I cannot recall. That also the same consciousness illumines. Memory, recovery of thoughts, memories, failure of memory, all of that is illumined by the same consciousness. When all of this is erased in deep sleep, that blankness of deep sleep, which seems to be nothing, that blankness is also illumined by consciousness. You see, normally we think of ourselves as minds, this body-mind complex having a series of experiences. And I see, hear, smell, taste, touch. I remember, I think about something, I have ideas, I have desires. So all of this is going on in the body-mind. In deep sleep, when I'm not aware of the physical body which is sleeping, I'm not aware of the mind which has gone into a seed state, into a blankness. Because the mind and body are inactive, from my perspective, it seems to be nothing. Because in waking and dreaming, it is the mind and body which give me the series of experiences. But that blankness, that nothingness is also illumined by the same consciousness. It is actually, this deep sleep is a very good place not to go into it. If you go into that, you will not experience, you will not realize Advaita. From the waking state, using the faculty of understanding, if we contemplate what deep sleep is, in what sense awareness or consciousness illumines the blankness of deep sleep, then we'll begin to understand what is meant by pure consciousness. Otherwise, what happens is, whenever I think I'm trying to understand the nature of pure consciousness, and to see into the nature of consciousness, it's still mostly mind. It's still dwelling at the level of mind, dwelling at the level of words and concepts. That which illumines these words and concepts, that which illumines the mind, that which illumines the senses and the objects of the senses, that one. Upanishad says, Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. That shining, all else shines after it. By its light, everything here is illumined. You shining, you the awareness shining, everything else shines. Everything else means the mind shines with the borrowed awareness. The senses shine with that. And then the world shines with the being revealed by the mind and senses. But you shining, everything else shines after you. By your light, light of awareness, your light, everything here is lit up. And so, no, everything is lit up by sunlight. But sunlight will disappear the moment you close your eyes. Even when you close your eyes, your thoughts are still lit up. There's no sunlight there. Then what is lighting up your thought? Lighting up means you are able to experience. This awareness reveals the thoughts. I will not even say your awareness, your consciousness, because you are that awareness. You are that consciousness. Language is dualistic, basically. So that's how language functions. And it traps us into thinking, I am something and I have a body. I am something else and I have a mind. And I am something else and I have a consciousness. No, you are consciousness itself, in which body, mind appear, arise, and appear to function, interact with an external world, so-called external world, but you are that awareness. The same thing Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. He says to Arjuna, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etadyo vetti kshetragyam tang prahu tadvidaha. O Arjuna, this body, know it to be a field. And the one who experiences this body from within, know it to be the knower of the field. Those who are wise in this, they are able to separate consciousness and object, awareness and body-mind. So this is Kshetragya, the field and knower of the field. Ashtavakra says the same thing. Yadi deham pritakritya chiti vishramya tishtasi. If you see the body as an object, not the world, we see it as an object. But the body is also an object. If you consider the body, you can see the body, you can touch the body, you can smell the body, you can taste the body, you can even hear the rumblings of your tummy inside this physical body. So the body is an object to all the five senses. The body is an object, very much so. As this book is an object, body is also an object. So we do not think that way. We normally behave as if I am the body, or I am somehow in this body, or some combination in this body is I. The self is somehow in this body. No. Or it is an embodied self. Not even that. The Buddhists are very good at analyzing this, that there is no self. When the Buddhist says anatma, not self, people think it's a contradiction of the Advaitic Atma. No, no, not at all. In language, it seems to be a contradiction. What the Buddhist does is analyzes the constituents of the body-mind, and they find panchaskandha, the 5 aggregates, and they say, where is the self in all of these aggregates? And they find no self in any of the aggregates in the body-mind. So the body is an object, and you are the subject. You are the knower of this body. The one who is the knower, that which is known, they cannot be the same thing. You are Chetana, this is Jara. You are Drashta, this is Drishya. You are the seer, the experiencer, the knower, the subject. The body is clearly an object. The body is Drishya, you are the Drashta. Drashta and Drishya cannot be the same thing. Even further, if you look further, you are aware of the body. The body is not aware of you. Very vividly, you can see. If you look at the body, if you just see your own hand, notice what is the experience like. I am aware of the hand. Or in awareness, in I, the awareness, there is an object, the hand. It is not the other way around. Hand is aware of awareness, or hand is aware of you. No. You are aware of the hand. You are awareness, a hand is an object. Not just the hand, this body, whole body is not aware. You are aware of it. In Sanskrit, Chetana Jada. And this body is continuously changing. From birth to babyhood, to childhood, to youth, to middle age, old age, and then dead body. Body is continuously changing. And you are the one who experienced the baby's body, the child's body, the youth's body, the middle-aged person's body. And take it for granted that when the body dies, you will still experience, I am still there. This body is a dead body. I am not the body. The body is savikara, continuously changing. Because of these reasons, you are not the body. You don't have to extract yourself from the body. You are already not the body. You have to see that you are not the body. How are you not the body? Drishyatvat, because the body is a drishya. You are the drashta. Jadatvat, because the body is insentient, not aware. You are sentient. You are chetana. Savikaratvat, the body is subject to continuous change and modification. And you intuitively feel that I was the one in the changing body, experiencing the changing body. You are nirvikara. You are drashta. You are chetana. Being chetana, nirvikara, drashta, how can you be the savikara, jara, drishya body? And what goes for the body, even more important, goes equally well for the mind. The mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, is another body. It's called the subtle body, sukshma sharira. So when Ashtavakra says, yadi deham prithak kritya, deham sthula deham sukshma deham. Physical body, even more important, mind. Mind is the source of all our troubles. Mind is the source of all our bondage. Here Ashtavakra says, you are not the mind. Notice, mind is subject to change, savikara, so many changes. Throughout the day, happy, sad, interested, bored, energetic, tired, thoughtful, excited. Mind is changing continuously. So many moods are coming, so many thoughts and memories are coming and going, desires are arising and disappearing. This is the mind, and it changes continuously. Not only that, it's an object. You are aware of it. It is drishya. Are we not aware of our own minds? If there is pleasure, who is more aware than me that I am happy? If there is pain, who is more aware of it than me than that I am sad? When I say I am sad, there is sadness in the mind and I'm aware of it. So contents of the mind, we are aware of it. It is drishya. We are the drashta of it. It is jada. Now, jada means insentient. The this has to be understood. Because normally, the mind is full of awareness. It is irradiated with awareness. If anything this aware is conscious, we will give the example of the mind. In consciousness studies, modern consciousness studies, they actually do not study consciousness as understood in Sankhya or Advaita. And what they study is the mind. The mind is a peculiar mixture of vrittis, movements in the subtle body, and reflected consciousness, the Chidabhasa. That mixture is what is studied in modern consciousness studies. But it is not aware in itself. It borrows consciousness or reflects the consciousness of the Atman, or the Atman, which is consciousness, is illumining the mind, and that reflected consciousness illumines the world. It's like sun and the moon and the earth. At night, suppose the earth is lit up by moonlight. But we know from our school studies that there is no light in the moon. The moon is borrowing sunlight. Sunlight is reflected from the moon and it lights up the earth. Similarly, the mind, which seems to be so aware, you look into your own mind and see it's aware. But this awareness is a reflection, a borrowing of awareness itself, the Atman itself. The consciousness there is borrowed, and that consciousness, reflected, borrowed consciousness, is now used to light up, enliven the senses and experience the world. Just like moonlight lights up the earth at night. Just as at night, the sun is not obvious, you can't see the sun there. Similarly, in our present state, we do not experience the Atman. The Atman cannot be experienced as an object. But without the sun, no moonlight is possible. Without the Atman, mind also will not function. There will be no consciousness there. There will be senses also will not function. They say in Sanskrit, Jagad Andhya Prasanga. The contingency will arise that the universe will go dark. No experience at all in life. Life itself will disappear. Remember, we define life itself series of experiences, consciousness plus object. If consciousness disappears, no experience. No experience, no series of experiences means no life itself. So, consciousness is that which lights up both mind and body. Yadi deham prithakritya. Know that I am not the physical body, I am not the subtle body. Then what am I? I am that awareness which lights up this physical body and subtle body. That's why Shankaracharya sings, Mano buddhya hankara chittani naham, nacha shrotra grahana, nacha shrotra netre. What is that? Nacha shrotra jivhe, na grahana, na netre, I think. Na vyoma, na bhumi, na tejo, na vayu, chidananda rupaha, shivoham, shivoham. And none of this objective display of nature. So therefore, I am that awareness to which this entire display is appearing. I am of the nature of Shiva. I am of the nature of consciousness. Chiti vishramya tishtasi. Now, Ashtavakra says, you rest in awareness. Ramana Maharishi has again and again in his dialogues pointed out, people say that, yes, by this method of self-inquiry, I come to a state of quietness. After a lot of effort, I come to a state of quietness. But then I either become a little uneasy there, there is thoughts of the world arise and I get swept outside again. That's why Ashtavakra says, Vishramya, rest there, stabilize there. After some time of dwelling in Advaitic thought, people say that I'm beginning to understand what it is, but I'm not centered there. I keep getting swept back into this body-mind identification, into the activities of the mind. Mind starts thinking again, and I become swept up by the thoughts of the mind, good and bad. So Ashtavakra says, Vishramya, stabilize yourself in that. Center yourself in this knowledge that you are the Atman, that you are this awareness. It is like the washerman. Once he is told by the diamond merchant that you don't have, it's not a rock, it is a diamond. Suppose somehow, out of foolishness, the washerman keeps forgetting it's a diamond and keeps thinking it's an ordinary rock. So we become like that. After understanding Advaita also, we sometimes slip back into this body-mind identity and sort of stay there. Now, there's an interesting thing here. One thing has to be understood is, actually, there is no problem of stabilizing ourselves. There's no problem of centering ourselves. You are awareness, choicelessly so. You don't have to make an effort in self-inquiry, in Vedantic meditation. What are you doing? I'm trying to stabilize myself as the Atman. No, you don't have to do that. You are stabilized. It's like the wave. It realizes that I am water. And then next it says, I'm trying to stabilize myself as water. Well, you are water. When you did not realize it, you were water. When you have realized it, you are water. When you feel that my realization of my water nature is shaky, you're still water, not at all shaky. Similarly, we are awareness. That will not change. That is vastu sthiti. That is the nature of reality itself. And whether we know it at all or not, it's still awareness. The most ignorant person out there is awareness. The one who is doing self-inquiry is awareness. The one who is fully established, sthita prajna, is awareness. And they are all equally, unshakably, choicelessly, that pure awareness itself. But a stage comes, in an advanced stage, the seeker feels that, yes, I am awareness, but I need to center myself in that, stabilize myself in that. And there are Vedantic practices, nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation. It just, basically what they all do is just remove the misconception that I am not stable in awareness. Now here is a point. Bhagavan Ramana has pointed again and again to that state, a particular state, where the mind is calmed in samadhi, and there is no experience of the external world, no experience of the body, no experience of sense movements, no experience of movements in the mind and memory, desires, feelings, thoughts, emotions, good or bad. It is quietened. And you remain as that unlimited witness of this vast quietness. But that's also a state. It is very clear about that. See, in Bhagavan Ramana's own life, you notice, whether with eyes open or with eyes closed, he is always in the same state. Sometimes with the eyes open, both states are visible. Is outward directed and sometimes inward. So you are awareness regardless of whether the body, mind are functioning or not. That clarity has to come. Once that clarity comes, nothing can shake you anymore. You can sit in meditation completely absorbed in the nature of this limitless awareness, or you can open your eyes and be engaged in the activities of life, completely steady in the realization that I am that awareness. How does that help? Adhuneva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. The result is immediate. Adhuna eva, right now, as you are, wherever you are. It is not something that you will get after a long process of practice, after going to heaven, after death, after going to Vaikuntha, Kailash or heaven or something. No. It is something that you will get here, you will get it there also, you will get it everywhere, that you are this limitless awareness, forever beyond sorrow. You will get it now and forever, before and after, here and there and everywhere, now and every when. And there is no time limitation here, there is no space limitation here. Adhunaiva. It is instantaneous. The moment you realize it, it is instantaneous. It does not take years and years. Now here the question might be, how is it instantaneous? It's instantaneous because it is your very nature. The moment the wave realizes it is water, the pot realizes it is clay. I mean, I'm using a figure of speaking. How much more process will it have to undergo to become that pure water? It is water. The pot is clay. And therefore, in that sense, it is instantaneous. Yes, of course, there will be a period of preparation and there will be a period of what we might call stabilization. But the realization, the result of that is instantaneous. It follows immediately. It's like that example of climbing up the mountainside to look for that needle. Lot of work and time and effort goes into it. Lot of instructions go into it. But the final instruction, look there at the root of the tree, in this particular place is the needle. When you find it, your eyes see that needle, it's instantaneous. Before that, a long process has gone on, but the final instruction and the eyes seeing the needle, it is instantaneous. And the result also follows instantaneously. You are taken beyond sorrow. Notice, where is sorrow? Sorrow is at the level of the world, it is at the level of the body, it is especially at the level of the mind. All sorrow arises and is recognized and experienced in the mind, in the movements of the mind, not in awareness itself. Awareness is beyond sorrow because it's the same awareness which illumines sorrow and which illumines the cessation of sorrow. So is the awareness in sorrow or not? Awareness is not in sorrow. Awareness illumined that sorrowful movement of the mind and the passing of the sorrow also. Awareness itself was not in sorrow. The desire and the satisfaction of the desire or the frustration of the desire, it's in the mind again. Awareness, no desire, no need to satisfy, no possibility of frustration also. So sorrow, desire, frustration, unhappiness, all of that is at the level of the mind, and further at the level of senses, body and world. Awareness is pristine and untouched. If I am that awareness, then it is nothing to me. The problems of the person in the dream are nothing to the one who has woken up. That person in the dream may have undergone a lot of problems and a lot of sorrows, a nightmare. But the moment we wake up, what do we say? Oh, it was a dream. It was a nightmare. Just the fact that it was a dream is the solution for all the sufferings, variety of sufferings in the dream. The solution is, it was a dream. I am untouched by anything that happened in the dream. I am untouched by anything that appears and happens in consciousness. Consciousness, I, awareness, Chaitanya, Chit, is untouched by the objects which appear in it. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. Shanta, the cessation of all sorrow. Mandukya calls it prapancha upashamam. While seeing the world, there is no world to be seen. While thinking thoughts, there are actually no thoughts to be thought. While seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, all of them are nothing but the play of consciousness. While interacting with loved ones and with people who are disagreeable, there is no loved one, no disagreeable person. It is all the play of consciousness. These are appearances in the awareness that you are. And hence, there is no sorrow. You overcome sorrow. If there are instances of misery, pain, sorrow, you can dissolve them. You can see, oh, it is an appearance in me, the awareness. In me it has appeared, in me it is playing around, this feeling of misery or pain, into me again it will disappear. It has no existence apart from me, and therefore it has no reality apart from me. Sukhi, you become happy. Ultimately, we are seeking this completion, this Purnatvam. Notice one thing, where is Purnatvam achieved in all of this? When I say, when Ashtavakra says, Yadi deham prithakritya, when you separate the body from consciousness, or consciousness is separate from the body, you realize. I am the illuminer of not only physical body, but also subtle body. Body and mind are illumined by consciousness. But now we must ask the question, consciousness and the body-mind, what is the relation? Are they two separate entities? Sankhya would say yes, Sankhya philosophy. Yoga philosophy would say yes. But Advaita says no. They are not two separate entities. It is true that consciousness is separate from body-mind. But body-mind is not separate from consciousness. This is something to be understood. It is true that when you say consciousness and body-mind are separate, it is not like you put peanuts in a bowl and the peanuts are separate and the bowl is separate. Not like that. Not that consciousness has been put in a body-mind. Rather, it is like clay and pot, gold and ornament, wave and the ocean, a wave and the water. It is true that the water is separate from the wave. What do I mean by that? Water can be a wave, water can be a bubble, water can be a water vapor, it can be water in your glass or in the pot. It need not be a wave. But the wave has no choice about it. The wave has to be water. The wave is not separate from the water. Similarly, ornament is not separate from gold, but gold can be anything. Similarly, the clay can be just clay. It need not be a pot, or it can be a jar or something else. But the pot or the jar is not separate from clay. Similarly, Advaita says the consciousness, awareness, Chaitanya, it is separate from all that it experiences. But that which is experienced, the object, is not separate from consciousness. Rather, it is the play of consciousness itself. The world, body and mind, they appear to consciousness, in consciousness, as nothing other than consciousness. They appear as other than consciousness, but they are nothing other than consciousness. Just as in a dream, in our dreams, when we see other people in the dreams, I am walking around somewhere, meeting with people, and there are chairs and tables, tree and sky and earth, and they all seem separate from me. But when I wake up, I realized all that tree, earth, chair, table, persons were appearing to the dreamer. They were appearing in the dreamer, and they were nothing other than the dreamer. There were no real table, chair, persons there. It was the dreamer alone, the dreamer's mind alone, which appeared as all of that display. All the display of this universe, including body and mind, is an appearance of you, the consciousness. You yourself are appearing as your own universe. You yourself are appearing, yourself, capital S, are appearing as every person in your dream, in this dream of samsara, as every object, big and small. Yourself means not the body mind, the capital S, as awareness. Awareness is appearing as its own object and illumining its object, giving rise to the series of experiences we call life. When we realize that, we attain true happiness. Sukhi. Adhunaiva sukhi shanto bandha mukto bhavishyasi. This is called freedom. Same experience of life. When we do not know ourselves as the Atman, it is called samsara. Same experience of life. When we know ourselves as the Atman, it is called nirvana. Both samsara and nirvana are appearances of the same consciousness. In ignorance, the same appearance is called samsara. In knowledge, enlightenment, the same appearance is called nirvana, moksha, bandha mukto bhavishyasi. So we have almost run out of time. In this analysis, we saw Ashtavakra giving the same teaching as Sri Ramana, who is the modern Ashtavakra, who has given the same teaching in our age, the highest teaching of non-duality, where you first see that body-mind is not you. I am not the body-mind. It is an appearance in me. And I rest in awareness. Rest in awareness means I choicelessly, with clarity, know that I am nothing but pure awareness, pure consciousness, not mind and consciousness, pure consciousness, not moon and moonlight, sunlight. So I am that pure consciousness. And then I realize that body, mind, and universe are appearances in this pure consciousness, are objects in this pure consciousness. That object has no existence apart from that pure consciousness. So actually, what is there? What is reality? Pure consciousness and pure consciousness alone. Ekam eva dvitiyam. You and you alone. You are one without a second. One alone without a second. It appears, the universe appears to be different from you and will continue to appear to be different from you. But the knowledge of this one undivided, non-dual consciousness which I am, this will show me this very universe will now become moksha, it will become nirvana. This is the teaching of Ashtavakra, this is the teaching of Bhagavan, and by the grace of Sri Bhagavan, let this highest enlightenment come to us all. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Nama Krishna Arpanamastu.
Pranam Swamiji, can we ask a couple of questions or
sure, if you've got time.
Okay, we have plenty of time, Swamiji. Swamiji, thank you for your invaluable advice for us. You have said that in whatever we are aware of, we are not that. But when I feel, as you mentioned, also pain, pleasure, joy, hurt of some sort, it becomes very difficult for me to remember that I am that unchanging consciousness, no matter how I try. What is to be done in that very moment when one is caught in some difficult emotion or circumstance so that we may act correctly and accordingly?
Who is asking this question?
One of the devotees.
So suppose, is there a name? Can I? All right. Suppose your name is Raghu. Suppose
My name is Mohan. You say
your name is Mohan. Okay. All right. I will call you. I will call say Mohan.
Yeah.
All right. Now, it is true. In the moment of crisis, suppose there is a flash of anger, a flash of disappointment, or sorrow. I am the witness of this body mind. In the mind, there is sorrow or anger. In me, the awareness, there is no sorrow or anger. It's difficult to do that. It's no doubt. But let me ask you the question. When there is sorrow, when there is anger, when there is some negativity, is it difficult to understand that I am Mohan having this anger? I'm asking the question that when you have this negativity, negative feeling, do you have to do any kind of effort to understand that I am Mohan, I am angry and I'm Mohan, Mohan, I'm angry? Is it difficult to understand that you are Mohan?
Momentarily it comes and again it goes, but the lingering feeling, it can go on for some time.
No.
Although I don't identify at that
I'm asking
time,
something. I'm asking something different. What I'm asking is, notice the question. The question was that at the moment of this crisis, some negative feeling or thought has come, some bad experience has come. At that moment, it's very difficult to remain identified as pure awareness or as a witness consciousness. Difficult. Now I am asking a counter question. So you are Mohan. When a negative thought comes, anger comes, unhappiness comes, is it difficult to know at that point that I am Mohan? No, it is effortless. You would immediately say, anger, I, Mohan, am angry. You don't have to do any effort for that. I, Mohan, am sad. It is natural for us. You see the point I'm making. I am so nicely and thoroughly identified with myself as Sarvapriyananda. If a feeling of anger comes in my mind, I don't have to do analysis. Who am I? I am Sarvapriyananda. Here is anger. So Sarvapriyananda is angry. I don't have to do that. Immediately, with the feeling of anger, Sarvapriyananda is angry. Notice that Sarvapriyananda identity is effortless for me. The Mohan identity is effortless for you. It doesn't take any effort. The reason that all this seems difficult is that we do not see ourselves as pure consciousness. So think about it. Think about what I just said. There is the key to the question. Answer to your question is what I just gave, the example of Mohan or Sarvapriyananda, that how effortless it is to refer to ourselves as Sarvapriyananda or Mohan. But anyway, what is to be done is, not much can be done at that moment, but one must go back and listen to this teaching, listen to Bhagavan's teachings again and again until the clarity dawns. There is a moment of breakthrough, which is irreversible. When you realize that, oh, I am this awareness, then for what reason should I continue to identify myself with this miserable body and mind and continue to suffer? Body and mind will continue to appear. Once you realize that a film is a film will continue to appear, but you know it's a film, it's a movie, it cannot affect you anymore. Sometimes in dreams also we realize it's a dream, and the mind has the capacity to keep on dreaming. It's called lucid dreaming, but you know you're in a dream, then you're safe from the ups and downs in the dream. Similarly, that breakthrough will happen when we continue to listen to these teachings and think about it and meditate upon it. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, that breakthrough will occur. Now, before that breakthrough, is there nothing to be done? Certainly there is something to be done. As we study this and we begin to get an understanding of this, of the Advaitic teachings, whenever a negative emotion comes, whenever some resistance comes in the mind, some unhappiness, some misery, use it. It's a powerful doorway to enlightenment. Use it to see that, yes, I felt swept away by the current of anger or unhappiness. But is it not true? All throughout, it is to me the awareness that the mind was calm and the mind became angry and I became swept away. I was identified with the mind. All of that was happening in awareness only. Was that awareness disturbed? That awareness was the same when the mind was calm. That awareness was the same when the mind was disturbed. That awareness is the same when the mind is calm again. Calm mind, disturbed mind, awareness is same. Who am I? Am I calm mind or disturbed mind? Or am I the awareness? This way, when we think, after the event has gone, slowly the mind will begin to get the hang of it, the way of dealing with these negative things. And at a time will come when the occurrence of those negative things will be less and less. We will recover from it much faster. And the intensity of those anger, misery, grief, irritation, that intensity also will go down.
Thank you, Swamiji. I will ask one more question. You have said that we are not the mind. I understand this theoretically, but when I try to be without thinking of thoughts, sleep intervenes very quickly. What should we be focusing on when there is subsidence of thoughts so as to avoid sleep and unawareness?
Here, something has to be understood carefully. When I say that we are not the mind, I don't mean shut down the mind. In normal cases, in the case of ordinary people, we are not used to deep meditation. When we try to shut down the mind, what will happen is we'll fall asleep. Those who are experienced meditators, they can go into samadhi by chitta vritti nirodha. But what I am saying, and Ashtavakra is saying here, and Bhagavan is saying, is that shutting down the mind is only a way of recognizing yourself as the witness consciousness, as pure consciousness. But you need not shut down the mind also. To recognize that you are not the car. When you're sitting in the car, suppose you're sitting in the car and you recognize you're not the car, do you have to get out of the car? No. You realize, oh, here is the car. I'm sitting in the car. I can use the car. I can drive the car. You're sitting in front of a computer now. Suppose I say, realize that you're not the computer. You say, of course, Swami, I realize. Does it mean you have to shut down the computer? No. You exist quite apart from the computer, while using the computer, while not using the computer. You'll say, how will I know that I exist without the mind, unless I shut down the mind? Instead of doing that, why don't you do vichara? Mandukya tells you that every day, it points out that every day in the night you fall asleep. The mind shuts down. And that deep sleep experience is also there. That means I am the experiencer of deep sleep, not I the mind. The mind is shut down there. Therefore, I can exist without the mind. A deep sleep shows I can exist without the mind. Dream state shows I can continue to experience without the body. Body is sleeping, but I'm not experiencing the sleeping body. I'm experiencing a dream state. Right. So my answer to that question is, yes, you may try to shut down the mind in meditation, but then the problem will be deep sleep, will fall into sleep. Rather, vichara, that even when the mind is operational, you are not the mind. I am not the mind does not mean I'm shutting down the mind. When Shankaracharya is singing, Nam mano buddhi chittani ahankara naham, I am not the mind, not the intellect, not the memory, and singing Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. If he's singing that, if he's writing that poem, at that moment he must be using the mind. While using the mind, he can honestly say, I am not the mind. I am the light that shines upon the mind. While using the car, can you not honestly say that you are not the car? While using the computer, can you not honestly say you are not the computer? While wearing the shirt and the jacket, can I not honestly say I am not the jacket or shirt? Even while wearing it, do I have to take off the jacket to show that I am not the jacket? No, I know. Similarly.
Thank you very much. Pranam, Swamiji. And
thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with fellow spiritual seekers, the seekers of non-duality. And I think the greatest master of non-duality in this age is Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi. And you see his teachings in many forms. Some acknowledge, some do not acknowledge, but it has spread all over the world, especially here in the United States. All these new Advaita, the direct path teachings, some way or the other, they all trace it back to Ramana Maharishi. So it's a great joy to be in the Jayanthi of Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi, our modern Ashtavakra.
Thank you, Swamiji. Pranams to you. I still recall when I asked you to speak, you accepted that so humbly, and always you have accommodated us without any thought almost. You asked me whether you can speak for 30 minutes. I joked, that is only for introduction. Then we upped it for 45 minutes. Then you said, okay, 1 hour, 1 hour with 50 minutes of talk and 10 minutes of questions. Our heartfelt pranams to you, and hopefully you will continue to enlighten us in the way Bhagavan has taught us, and hope to see you more and more to enlighten Bhagavan's teachings, Swamiji. Thank you. Pranams.